Once upon a time, a much simpler time, people used to get upset about how a video game was about to be released with fewer puddles than originally advertised. That was the story surrounding Insomniac's Spider-Man, a delightful game released in 2018 that might have made you feel like Spider-Man, but the jury's still out on that one. After a couple of additional pieces of DLC, a follow-up game was announced as a launch title for the PlayStation 5. Hype was high and puddle controversies were low, but could this title live up to its Spider sibling? In this installment, we take on the role of Miles Morales, who is Peter Parker if Peter Parker became a sneakerhead and then became addicted to helium canisters.
They didn't even listen!
And speaking of Peter Parker, what the hell happened to his face in this game? There was nothing wrong with it in 2018, but suddenly he looks like Peter kidnapped every actor who has ever played Spider-Man on the big screen, and executed some weird crossover between Frankenstein and Face Off. Here's how the gameplay works for Spider-Man Miles Morales. Have you played Spider-Man 2018? If so, congratulations, you've pretty much played Spider-Man Millie's Morals. It is winter in this one though, so just pay your girlfriend or your dog or a homeless person to sprinkle little shards of paper in front of your TV while you play Spider-Man 2018 and you are good to go, my friend. Spider-Man Miles Morales has you around New York City, fighting crime and saving lost cats. So far, so spandex. You use the same sprawling New York map from the previous game and have a lot of the same combat abilities, but Miles also has a couple of extra powers. He possesses a Venom power which can be used to attack enemies in multiple different ways, including dashing and slamming into the ground. Venom power can also be used to solve puzzles by charging or draining generators which block doorways or blow up, respectively. He also has a camouflage ability that allows him to escape danger if spotted during stealth or get up close and personal with these hired goons. And I must admit, it seems odd that Miles has these extra powers. Did the spider that bit Peter Parker have an orgy with an electric eel and a chameleon and this was the result? Well, before the comic book mafia punished me for my ignorance, I actually did my research and found that Miles was bitten by a similar spider that was developed by Norman Osborn. This isn't explicitly explained in this game though, so if you haven't played the previous game or aren't familiar with Miles Morales as a character, you just have to play through the game questioning this shit, like I did. Miles has also vamped up vigilantism by allowing the citizens of New York to report crimes and call for help via an app, which is a nice touch, even if the avatar for Miles' friend Ganke makes me feel like I need an adult. Alongside the missions given to you by the app, there are gang hideouts that need to be cleared, technology caches to be found that help improve your suit, training exercises to test your stealth, combat and city traversal, and sound samples to be found around the city, left for you by a fellow DJ! Web swinging in Miles Morales feels as good as ever, with a couple of added animations to the swinging which add a lot of character to Miles. He feels like he's never fully in control of what he's doing, and it truly makes you believe he's just a kid who recently developed superpowers and suddenly has to babysit one of the largest cities in the world. As far as the story goes, Spider-Man version 1 has left New York for the time being, so you are left in charge of protecting the city from a variety of villains. Except, wait a minute, how many villains do we encounter throughout the entire story? I'll leave you to guess. 5. That's right, 5. Less than half the number of the villains of the previous game, and it only gets worse from there. Only 2 of those 5 are villains you haven't encountered before, and even then, you only actually fight 3 in total. You have a cozy little video chat with one, nothing more, and another one isn't even there. He's a Peter Parker projection for one of the gameplay challenges he's left for Miles in his absence. But guess what? I'm still not done complaining about these supervillains, because not only do you only see 5 throughout the entire story, not only do you only fight 3 of them, but you fight one of the repeated villains twice. Are you telling me out of the huge selection of supervillains Spidey has faced, Insomniac couldn't add anything original? It just comes across as lazy design and feels more like DLC for the 2018 game rather than its own fully fleshed out game. Okay, time for something positive. I must admit that after playing the game on PS5, I continued to marvel at the capabilities of the DualSense controller and how they are implemented. In Spider-Man Kilometer's ethics, the haptic feedback on the triggers activates at the last moment when web slinging, and the vibration motors give an unbelievably realistic feeling to things like trains passing by and lightning strikes around you. Such a simple addition adds so much to the gameplay and immersion that it takes the game as an experience to a whole new level. The new hard drive included with the PlayStation 5 also drastically reduces the loading times when fast travelling. This does save time in the long run, but I have to admit during my playthrough I missed the little cutscenes you get where Spider-Man is on the subway doing various things like talking to strangers and checking his phone. You can turn this on the pause menu on PS5 though, and Miles' cutscenes are arguably better than Peter's, so if you plan on playing this on next-gen PlayStations, I would recommend turning them on because they are a fun addition. Inevitably, playing as Miles forces a comparison between this game and the other times he's appeared in the media, most notably of which is the 2018 film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's refreshing to see that Insomniac Games have considered this by adding the suit Miles wears in the films as an unlockable. They've also included an animation for when Miles falls from the taller buildings in the city, allowing you to reenact one of the most iconic shots from the film with some clever timing and use of the photo mode. They also went even further and added the option to alter the animation style of Miles to match that of the movie, regardless of what suit you're wearing. The only downside to this is that to use this ability you have to sacrifice one of the 2 ability slots you have, whose options mostly consist of abilities that aid you in gameplay. Forcing players to give up a gameplay advantage for some cool visuals is a poor way to incentivize your players to use it. All things considered, I have to admit that I'm torn. As fun as the game is, it doesn't offer enough new gameplay or story variations compared to its Peter Parker counterpart, especially when you factor in that you'd have to spend full retail price for it at launch, and that it lasts about as long as something that doesn't last very long, but I wouldn't know anything about that, shut up. Hey everyone, and thank you so much for watching my review of Spider-Man Miles Morales. Please consider liking the video if you enjoyed it, leave a comment letting me know what you thought of the game, subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff, and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I upload a video. See you next time.